and welcome to the non-specific holiday special of TalkNado. I'm Julian VanDrunen.
And I'm Whisler. Welcome to TalkNado. Here on the show today, we have Mr. Robbins here to talk to us a little bit about the traditions of Hanukkah. We have John Hill, a representative from CatNap, and we have Mr. Dignan here to play us some lovely holiday tunes.
Later on in the show, we'll be having Mary Schlesser, a professional rapper in the community, as well as Anisa Selenica, a student producer here at RBTV, to talk to us about what that's like. But first, we have Don Sweeney to talk to us about working through the holidays. Mr. Sweeney, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Good. So, how did you first get into psychology?
Well, when I was actually in high school, I was actually more of a journalism interest. I wanted to be a writer, and really when I got into it, I really started thinking that, when you want to be a writer, you're very interested in what motivates people, what drives people, and from there I just got into psychology.
So what about being a writer helped you in your psychology career?
Well, I think, again, when you focus on, what motivates people, why they make the choices they make, that's what sort of got me into it.
And how long did it take for you to get to where you are right now?
Well, obviously I graduated college and then got a master's degree in clinical psychology, and then went back and got a specialist degree in school psychology, which is what I've been doing for 20 years.
Wow, and where do you work currently?
I work out in Naperville for Naperville school districts.
Oh, you're a school psychologist there?
Yes, I have two elementary schools.
So what are the differences between school psychology and clinical psychology?
Well, clinical psychology really is more of a problem finding background, where you're really trying to investigate and diagnose and come up with what's going on with an individual. Where school psychology, obviously it's more child focused, and we're more focused on solving problems. So we're trying to remediate whether it's an academic problem or an emotional problem.
So if you find a problem with a clinical psychologist, is it also fixed with them? Or?
Yeah, it is, but again, I think more from the clinical standpoint, when you go to see a clinical psychologist, generally they are going to try to find something. I mean, I think for a lot of people, especially a lot of individuals or families, when they go to see a clinical psychologist, if they go and they don't find something, it's in some ways it's almost disappointing. Whereas in a school, when we're trying to identify whether it's a reading problem or, again, an attention problem, a memory problem, something that's affecting the student, we're more thinking about not necessarily identifying the issue, more so we're thinking about what can we do to fix this, what can we do to improve this.
Yeah, of course. So do you have any advice for someone who'd want to go into a field like this?
Well, obviously, like I said, keep your grades up. You also need to be more aware of what's going on in current trends and things. I mean, psychology, especially school psychology, has changed a great deal in the last 10 years. We're more focused on what they refer to as evidence-based intervention and response to intervention. So we're really working with strategies and methods that are shown through research to really help and benefit students.
And what is the most challenging part about being a school psychologist, would you say?
To be honest with you, a lot of it is dealing with the family piece of it. It really seems like we get parents in a lot of two camps. In one camp, we have a lot of parents who have many concerns about their children that really don't show up in school, where we have parents who say, they come home, they're crying every day, they don't have any friends, and yet in school, the teachers and the staff seem to think the student is very well adjusted, seems very happy, seems to be friendly. On the other hand, we also have a number of situations where we have students that we do have a number of concerns about, and the parents or the families, in a lot of cases, don't see the issue or don't feel that it's much of a problem. So it's working with those two extremes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of facters to the issue,
right.
Of course, yeah.
Definitely. And for anybody, going through that, or even having any holiday blues, what would you recommend for them?
I think a lot of the problem with holiday blues really comes down to three factors. First of all, for a lot of individuals, when we think about the holidays, we think about being with families, and yet a number of individuals are alone during the holidays, and obviously that's going to create a lot of stress and a lot of depression in a lot of individuals. The second thing to keep in mind is that even for individuals who maybe are a little more out there, a lot of people are very drawn into the social media nowadays, and a lot of people compare their lives to what they hear or what they read on social media, which is generally very over the top and very, happy, and everything in my life is wonderful and perfect, and look at all these great things going on, which probably is not very realistic for a lot of people. And then the third thing is just actually dealing with your family situations that go on at the holidays. I mean, a lot of times, even though we love our families and we're together with them, there's a lot of stress that goes on at the holidays. There's a lot of competitiveness about, buying gifts and showing up and doing things. And, when we're together, we have to be 100% happy. So a lot of those issues, I think, are causes of holiday blues.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It was wonderful talking to you.
It's been great. Thank you very much. We'll have to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back after these messages.
Welcome back to TalkNado. Here on the show right now, we have Mr. Robbins here to talk to us a little bit about Hanukkah.
How's everybody doing?
Great.
Thanks for having me.
So, can you explain the holiday of Hanukkah for those who wouldn't know?
So Hanukkah is a celebration holiday in the Jewish religion. We're celebrating the miracle of the light and the oil that the Maccabees were had when they were saving the temple back in ancient times.
Nice. So, do you have any information on why the date of Hanukkah seems to change every year?
So the date of Hanukkah is based on the Jewish calendar, which changes from year to year, and the dates change. It's not on our normal calendar, so sometimes it falls at the beginning of December, sometimes it falls in the middle of December, sometimes it falls at the end. It depends on how the Jewish calendar is, and which resets every September actually for us.
And do you happen to know the story of the oil and the fire?
Yeah, so the basic outline of it is when the second temple is being built in Israel over 4,000 years ago, Judah and the Maccabees were defending against the invasion of the temple. And after they were able to save it from destruction, they wanted to rededicate the temple. So to do that, they wanted a light, and they needed to light the oil and light the candle for 8 days or for 7 days, but they only had enough oil for one night, which seemed like enough oil for one night. And that oil, the miracle of Hanukkah was that oil lasted 8 nights they needed before they can get more to dedicate the temple. So because that little bit of oil lasted 8 nights, it was the miracle of Hanukkah and the celebration of Festival of Lights.
And so, is there any other kind of traditions that you'd have on Hanukkah, other than maybe a menorah?
So the biggest tradition, it's a big celebration holiday. So there's a lot of traditional foods. It's a big celebration time to celebrate and be happy as a family. So we light the menorah to celebrate the light. We eat a lot of fried foods for the oil. So the biggest traditional foods are the latkes, the potato pancakes. Ooh. So kind of like hash browns, but in pancake form. We call them latkes.
Nice.
So we eat those a lot. And the other traditional food is jelly donuts. So little stuffed jelly donuts, because donuts are fried in oil.
And they're pretty good.
Yeah, it's called those sufganiyot in Hebrew.
Nice.
So basically anything that uses oil, we try to eat.
Yeah.
So anything deep fried and pretty tasty.
Yeah.
Exactly. Big celebration.
So what other things do you do to celebrate Hanukkah? Do you play games? Or?
The biggest game is the game of dreidel, and that's the little top that we spin. And the dreidel game, actually, the history of it was a disguise game. It was a game that they used to use to disguise the fact that they were studying the Torah. And we play that game now, and the game, it has 4 sides. Each of those 4 sides have different meanings. It translates to the miracle happened there. Nes Gadol Hayasha in Hebrew, and each of those has little meanings. Basically, we spin it. We play with Hanukkah gelt, which is basically chocolate money, and whatever you land on, you either get to take some, give some back. So it's just a fun game that we used to play as a kid, and we got chocolate out of it.
So the little sayings on the dreidel itself, what would they be?
It is each is a Hebrew letter that represents the first word of that saying Nes Gadol Hayasha. Meaning the miracle happened there. The miracle happened in Israel. And it changes if you're playing in Israel. It says the miracle happened here. Wow. So there's 2 different versions of the dreidel. But we're saying the miracle of the light, the miracle of the oil happened there. So we just remember that when we play it. And each one, the first letters, Nun, Gimel, Hey, and Shat, and Shin represent each of those different words.
Wow. And how long have you been celebrating?
I've celebrated my entire life. So as long as I can remember, we celebrate with my family, just because the time that it falls, usually it's with an extended family, and celebrate 8 nights, light the candles each night, have dinner each night. Usually we get together and play the games for a long weekend, and just have fun as a family.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite gift-giving ideas for the Hanukkah season?
Traditionally, you're supposed to give one gift every night and try to build it up to something big. Sometimes we try to mix it up depending what it was and give something big first and then kind of get everything going. But little things to keep each other happy, the things that you could use and play with and do, especially those times, especially when you're giving gifts to little kids.
Yeah.
And for anyone who maybe doesn't celebrate but would be interested in, is there any traditions you celebrate that you'd want to share?
The biggest thing you could do, especially when you're celebrating Jewish holiday, is celebrate, remember, and enjoy. Celebrate, remember, and enjoy. That's what we always do. We always have a good time and celebrate together.
And celebrate
Great.
with
Well,
family.
thank you so much for
Celebrate
coming
with
on the
family.
show today.
Thank
It's
you very
been
much.
great. Oh, we'll have to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to TalkNado. We have Don Hill here with a cat for us. How you doing, Mr. Hill?
I'm doing great. How you doing? You can call me Don, by the way.
Sure, sure. So who do we have here?
This is Margo. Margo is a 8-month-old kitten who's equivalent to like a 10-year-old. And if you remember Emmett from last week, our super cat, this is going to be Emmett's replacement. We've already taken her to the VA hospital. She has a harness on, she loves to be petted, and she's just a real cool cat. And it's typical that we get kittens from feral or wild cats. They give birth, they bring them in the shelter, and if we can get the kittens soon enough, we can socialize them and they get used to people, and she's just a real ham.
Yeah.
A sweetheart.
So did Emmett get adopted by a new family?
They got this week, actually, and we picked out a family. It was a perfect match, a young couple with 3 kids, 5, 7, and 9.
Oh, perfect.
And they just fell in love with Emmett.
Yeah.
But the dad had an allergy, and it's actually not the fur, it's actually the dander. And the reason that people are more allergic to cats and dogs is that cats groom themselves, and it's partially the saliva that people get. Hope it's not eggnog. Anyway, a drunk cat. Yeah, it's the saliva, but whatever. We worked with the dad. He came in, held the cat, went home, and then tried different allergy medications, and we think it's going to work out perfectly.
Sounds great, yeah.
Perfect.
And that's his reward. So that was Emmett's reward.
I'm so glad that he got a good home.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Does Margo have a home set up for now, or?
Margo is for adoption, but she was brought in with a semi-feral cat, a kitten that we actually use her to help socialize that kitten, because we think we can get her to be used to people, and Margo's going to help her a lot like Emmett did. So she's going to help us socialize. Huh, sweetheart?
So do you socialize like cats and kittens by like just exposing them to other cats or humans, or like how do you socialize them?
A couple different ways. One to other cats, but one is just the easiest way to do it is get 2 or 3 volunteers. Come here, sweetheart. Get 2 or 3 volunteers, and you go and you bring them with a group of kittens, and what you do is you pick up a kitten, count to 10, hand them off to another person, and then count to 10. And the idea is you don't want to go and smother these guys. It makes them feel trapped. And what we do is we train these guys to be handleable, so we can go at any time and pick them up. So that's the way we do it. And then they end up a lot easier to handle when they go home.
I'm sure.
And how long have you had Margo?
She's just 8 months old. We had her when she was a tiny kitten, so we brought her into foster until she was old enough to be neutered, and then so she doesn't have a gazillion babies. And then in foster, our director of operations, Tara, noticed that she was kind of like Emma and a very mature kitten.
Yeah.
And then we brought her in the shelter, and she gets along with the other cats, and we need another cat to go out to the VA hospital. So we're going to do that and probably do the same thing and not be selfish and give her a reward and find her a happy home.
That's wonderful.
Definitely.
So what kind of characteristics does a cat need to have to go to the VA hospital, or like just be a super cat?
Be a super cat, but a cat like this, first of all, not go insane in the carrier on a car ride, and being able to wear a harness and just be able to interact with people. And like she's pretty brave.
Oh, she seems to have no problem with interaction.
And not, pull the IVs out of people.
Yeah.
No,
that would
kidding.
be
They
pre-
don't do
Yeah.
that.
That would be pretty bad. So, for anyone interested in adopting Margo, is there any medical or behavioral assessments that you can make about her?
Oh, absolutely. She is one healthy kitten. And whenever somebody comes in, and we're a cat-only shelter, we do have small mammals and birds also, but we really focus on cats. And when you adopt a cat, we give the complete medical history, and they're vaccinated, and we give the plan for taking the cat to the vet and continue whatever medical care. And we also have some cats who have special needs. And so we have some cats that are diabetic, and there's some families that will help take care of cats like that and give the injections and all that kind of stuff. So, we have a lot of cats. We have a lot of kittens, of course, and we have cats of all ages. But our philosophy is there's a lot of cats in our shelter, and every single one of them has a family out there. We just have to help find it.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for
You're
coming on the
welcome.
show.
It's been great.
See you
All
all.
right, we'll be right back after these messages. Hello and welcome back to TalkNado. We have Mr. Dignan here to talk to us about his music career and also play a couple songs for us. So, Mr. Dignan, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Great.
Sure.
No problem. So, when and why did you start playing guitar?
I started playing guitar in 5th grade. Actually, they brought musical instruments to my grammar school, and I wanted to play the trumpet. And my parents said I couldn't play the trumpet, so the next option was the guitar. So about 5th grade, I started playing guitar.
Perfect.
So, other than the guitar, do you play anything else?
Harmonica, and obviously I sing. So those are that's it.
Did you ever accomplish your dream of playing the trumpet?
I never did accomplish my dream. I'll have to talk to Mr. Baum about that.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah,
he
definitely
can
One
help me
that
out.
got away.
Someday I'll be a trumpeter.
Get him in the jazz band, Mr. Baum. So, who inspired you? Any famous musicians, maybe?
I like all types of music. Actually, to be honest, I'd have to give credit to my grandma because she was the one who bought me a guitar and said, "Here, you stopped playing for a while, so relearn it." She always played the piano and stuff like that, so she was a big influence.
Sweet. What are your famous influences? Do you have any stars you look up to?
Johnny Cash, maybe?
I love Johnny Cash. I like Led Zeppelin was always one of my favorites. I
Really?
love Ray LaMontagne. He's sort of a newer guy who I listen to as much as possible, and I listen to anything and everything.
You think you'll be playing some Led Zeppelin today?
I don't think we'll do any Led
some-
Zeppelin
doing
holiday
some rips
songs.
on the-
No, Stairway to Christmas won't work.
We've tried. We've tried.
We'll try. So, how often do you practice, and how long?
Well, I have a band now. We get together a couple times a month, depending on how many shows we have. But I just sort of pick it up when I'm in the mood, I guess, more than anything else. So sometimes I'll sit down and play for 10 minutes. Sometimes I'll sit for a couple hours and go from there.
So, has your music helped you in your teachings here at all?
Sure. Creativity, I guess. Gotta think on your feet.
That works.
Incorporate it somehow.
Perfect.
So, you have a couple songs for us. What's the first one you have?
Sure. The first one is actually a song that I wrote a long time ago, maybe 10 years ago. It's a Christmas song. Actually, it's a religious song. So this is called The Greatest Gift.
All right. Let's hear it.
Woman lies down, an average woman, at least that was what it once seemed. But a startling vision, the words from an angel came to her then in a dream. It said, Mary, Virgin sweet, you can change everything. Oh, Mary, will you be the mother of our future king? So Mary woke up, startled and troubled, wondering how this could be. She says, how can I bear a child who will set the entire world free? And God looked down on her and touched her with his loving hand. He said, Mary, you're the one that you now understand that this will be the greatest gift the world will ever get from anyone. This child will save us all. Sin will be undone, and all who believe will soon call him the one. He's the greatest gift, your son. So Mary agreed, accepted the honor, realized this was the way. She ran and told Joseph she was with child, and both of them knelt down to pray. They said, "Oh Lord, thank you so for blessing our lives from above. And oh Lord, so you know, we'll shower this child with love." Then Mary said, Mary agreed, realized this was the way. Went to a stable, all of them came, and then it was time that they prayed. Mary said, "Joseph dear, I think it's time I should give birth." So a stable became the place where they'd bring this great blessing to earth. And he was the greatest gift the world will ever get from anyone. This child will save us all. Sin will be undone, and all who believe will soon call him the one. He's the greatest gift, your son. Mary looked down at the babe in her arms. Proudly this new mother smiled. Then the whole family shared an embrace, just father and mother and child. Mary shed a tear. She'd never been filled with such joy. She praised God for the love she already felt for her boy. Suddenly Jesus opened his eyes and saw his mom for the first time. An instant connection with mother and child, the purest love, oh so sublime. Mary kissed his cheek and whispered softly in his ear. She said, "Always you'll be my son, and I will always be your mother dear. You're the greatest gift that I will ever get from anyone. Oh, my child, you'll save us all, and sin will be undone. And I believe that you are the one. You're the greatest gift, my son."
That was great.
That was beautiful, Mr. Dignan. Thank you so much for coming on the
I'm
show.
sure we'll
with
hear
us.
that on iTunes pretty soon. All right, we will be back after these short commercial messages.
welcome back to TalkNado. We have Don Hill with another cat for us.
Hi, this is Billy, and you could probably hear him singing in the background. He's quite a singer.
Singing along, yeah.
And yeah, it seems like that the applause just kind of irritated him. He's fine, but I think we'll leave him in here.
A little shy to the limelight.
Yeah, and you never know. But I've got the last one, who's definitely a lap cat.
Perfect.
This one is too, by the way. Works perfectly back in the shelter. But anyway, it's an interesting story. This is a 2.5-year-old cat, which is equivalent to about, maybe a 30-year-old. So a nice young cat, and he's a bonded pair. And it's quite interesting because his brother is a orange tabby cat, and very shy, very pettable, but shy, and I should have brought him. Anyway, but yeah, it's interesting because it isn't uncommon for cats to have more than one mother. I just said, he's looking at me. I meant more than one father. So that's how sometimes you get litters. Boy, I'm gonna never live that up. Have litters with totally different cats. So it's quite interesting. And the thing about it is that it takes a little longer to adopt these guys. One, they're a little bit older, and we won't send him home without his bonded pair because he's kind of the protecting his brother, and it's kind of a nice story. And but you get two cats, two different personalities for the price of one, so it's a great deal.
Yeah, it is.
It's a 2-for-1.
A 2-for-1, yeah.
And so he's about the equivalent of 30 years old, but when did you guys first get him?
We got him about 8 months ago, and it was a situation where it was an adoption from somewhere else, and it was a return, and it just wasn't the right fit for the household. So interesting, we're a no-kill shelter. All it means is that we won't euthanize an animal to make space for another one.
Good, yeah.
So it makes the idea of really reaching out to folks and doing a lot of advertising, really learning about the cats.
I'm sure, yeah.
And yeah, we don't take cream puffs. There are a lot of shelters that take, kittens. We have tons of kittens, but they take cats that are really easy to adopt. And we'll take all cats because, again, every cat in there has someone that's going to adopt them. So that's our philosophy.
It's important because I feel the same way. I think every cat has the potential to find the perfect home.
Perfect family, yeah. So what about this guy? What's his personality like?
He is, as you can see, a very calm personality. You can see that his ears are up. He's very alert. He just, when we were coming down the stairs, he just heard the applause and just felt very unsettled. So rather than really stressing him, he'll just sit here. But he is definitely a lap cat. He'll sit and he'll come up, jump in your lap. So if you're looking for a cat to pet and you want a bonded pair, his brother isn't as much of a lap cat, but loves to be petted. So it's just a perfect match. So.
Of course.
Sure. And for anyone interested, can you tell us a little bit about the adoption process?
Of course I can. No, it's great. We're CatNap from the Heart, and you can look on the website catnapfromtheheart.org. And we're on Beach Avenue in LaGrange Park. And the process is very simple. You come in and you fill out a very simple application that's two-sided. There are some shelters that you fill out 10 or 12 pages and you get interrogated. What we do is we sit and talk, and we find out a lot about the family, and we go in and tell people about the cats that we think it'll fit.
Of course.
And sometimes, every once in a while, it's just an instant bond. And if it isn't a likely match, what we'll do is we'll work with those folks and say, okay, you want a lab cat? This is a lab cat. Here's some of the things you can do.
So you match up characteristics with
Match
families.
up characteristics, yeah.
Perfect. And so does that set you apart from other adoption agencies?
It kind of does. And not kind of, what it does is that we're really unique because a lot of shelters do pay attention to that, but a lot just simply come in and point to a cat or a dog and they're adopted, or they make you go through a process that's longer than applying for a mortgage. So it's a mix, and we want to get the right mix. And kind of what makes us unique is that with many shelters, when you come in and adopt an animal, it's the end of the story. With us, it's the beginning.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much for coming on the show again.
You got it.
All right, we'll be right back after these commercial messages.
on the show today, we have Mary Schlesser. Welcome
Hello.
to TalkNado.
Hello. True confession, I am not a professional rapper, but I will play one on TV.
Perfect.
This is a tradition we use in our family. They represent 2 of my 5 grandsons, Duncan and Liam, Caleb, Ollie, and Cole. I haven't forgotten you. And I'm really interested in recycling and saving forests. And one Christmas I looked around and there was so much paper around, and I would save the paper and I'd iron it, which uses more energy. And I thought there's got to be a better way. Well, Santa Claus delivers in a sack, and I thought, great, I'll go to a feed store, I'll get some feed sacks. And I thought, I don't know where there's a feed store. Then I thought, well, I could use laundry bags and do some embroidering and fabric paints. And I was walking through a dollar store one day, and I saw this display of wind socks, and this little guy caught my eye. And he was there for St. Patrick's Day, and I thought, no, that's a Santa elf.
Yeah.
So I looked at it, and it was open in the back and had Velcro, so we could open it up and stuff it and put presents in. That opening was a little too small. So what I did is I took one. They had these little belts on them, which is nice because sometimes the presents fall out the back. I opened the seam in the back, much wider, and you take the K-Pock, I'm showing my age there, fiberfill, and you just stuff it in. Now, when you want to put gifts in here, if you're giving like RBHS sportswear or something, just roll it up and stuff it in.
Perfect.
And it fills up.
Yeah, that's such a unique way of wrapping gifts.
It is,
He's pretty big, so I mean, you could fit a lot of gifts in him, do you think?
you could fit a lot of gifts in there. What I have here is I have some packages that I can demonstrate with how to.
How sweet.
Oh, you shouldn't have.
Oh no, rope lights. Guys, you're not getting rope lights.
No.
Liam,
Next
I
relax.
wanted for Christmas.
Yeah, you might get the candy. But, so you just stuff them in like that. And you can get a lot in here.
Yeah,
Liam
looks
will
like it.
want the candy. And then, this is another tradition we do. Just seal him up, tie his belt, and he's good to go.
Perfect. So are there any other, like, because these were sold at Walmart, right? Is there any
I
other
don't know where
alternatives?
I found them at a dollar store.
dollar
I
store,
don't
yeah.
shop at Walmart because it's not union.
Oh, my bad.
Definitely.
I'm a teacher.
And so, how long have you been doing this?
These are about 10 years old,
Oh,
so they get reused, and,
Oh, yeah.
and sometimes the kids get a little wild. But I don't have that mess of paper, and I feel like I'm not killing any trees.
Yeah, you're saving a lot of energy.
I hope so. And it was kind of cute. The first year we used them, the kids were tiny, and they came in and they just stared. They didn't know what to make of it, and we said, the elves have your presents, and they just kind of. So we had to show them how to open it up
perfect.
in the back, and they were very cute.
And so you use those every year?
I do. And I hope that when they grow up and have families of their own, they'll each take their labeled elf
Yeah, it's a nice family
with them.
tradition.
I was going to embroider across the top, but these iron-on letters are so much
They
easier,
are, yeah.
definitely.
and they glitter.
And it's a lot bigger than a stocking, huh?
Yes. Another tradition that we have in order to reuse is my Christmas tree is made of recycled materials. The bands that you would find on wine barrels make tiers up the tree, and pipes for the center, for the trunk, and a tractor wheel for the bottom. And then we collect metal ornaments. We magnetize them so the kids can put them on and take them off. If they get knocked down, it's not a big deal. We also have candle holders on each rim, because I was fascinated by the candles in
Yeah.
the movie Heidi.
Metal doesn't break as easily as glass does.
No. So we have, reusable, non-breakable.
And how long have you been doing
Preservation.
the metal tree?
The metal tree is about 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I was afraid of fire, and there are beautiful live trees and beautiful artificial trees, but the fear of fire got to me. And recycling, that's a big deal.
Definitely. And have you been, did you learn this from your parents, or did you just pick it up
No,
one day?
I wanted to do something traditional. My mother made needlepoint ornaments for all of her
Oh, that's so
grandchildren.
sweet, yeah.
So my children, her grandchildren, so they each have 18.
Oh,
So I thought I'd do something.
Yeah, you said you're a teacher. Would you ever like carry on these kind of things in your classroom with like small gifts or wrapping things?
Well, when we wrap things at school, I bring in scraps of material and old wrapping paper that I ask kids to bring that in.
Perfect. Good
Definitely.
idea.
You got to be really, what's the word, cost efficient as well.
Of course.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
definitely much cheaper to
Yeah.
just use this every year.
Yeah, and that was another thing. I thought if it couldn't fit in here, couldn't afford it.
Definitely.
Perfect. All right.
So
Thank
Merry
you so much.
Christmas, Caleb.
Merry
Duncan,
Christmas. Thank you
Liam.
so much for showing us this. I might actually try it myself.
Perfect.
All right, we'll be right back after these commercials. Hello and welcome back to TalkNado. We have Don Hill again with another cat for us.
Okay, this is Brooks. He is a 6-year-old cat, and he was abandoned with his bonded pair mate at a Petco up on the north side, and tells a very interesting story. It's there are a lot of great people and a lot of shelters in the humane movement, and the problem with no kill, it's a great concept, and it's the only way to go. But when a shelter is full, it's full. So the important thing is we all have our different styles. We're a cat-only shelter. We have different ways of doing adoptions. But you know what? We're all in this together. And we would rather have someone go to another shelter if the personality mix would fit better with another cat. And that's why the humane movement in the perfect world is we're going to train people on cat behavior so they learn that cats really don't do very well by just abandoning them. Some do fine, some don't. But the idea behind it, a perfect world, is we're going to do education and teach people how to keep cats in their homes. And a perfect world, no shelter will ever be empty.
Yeah.
And when we combat the population problem, maybe there won't be shelters, just extended foster care.
Yeah.
So that's the dream we all have, and we can do it.
And I can definitely respect that dream for CatNap. And it seems like you guys can definitely achieve that because
course.
the ideals you have, searching for the perfect family, I really love what you guys are doing.
Yeah, you guys are such a great place. Could you tell us a little bit about how this guy acts around other people, his like attributes, personality?
Well, you can see it right here. He's a sweetheart, and what we need to do is, and I resemble this remark, get him out and get him in the room where we do adoptions and get a wand toy out and get him moving. He could lose some weight, but so could I. Yeah, I'm going to guess about 17 pounds. He's a heavy cat, but he's pretty cool. And yeah, it's just, he's very friendly, and you can tell. You have a bunch of people here applause. His ears are up, his tail is up as he walks around. He's very comfortable.
Yeah, you can tell.
And we're putting them through a lot. We're putting him in a carrier, putting him in the green room, hearing applause.
He's on the move.
Our other cat liked the music more, but he liked it too.
Definitely. And how long have you had this little guy?
He's been about a year, and he's the bonded pair with a 2.5-year-old Siamese mix. And again, this is a situation where they go out together because we wouldn't dream of breaking them up.
Yeah.
Definitely. It'd be
That's so
horrible to
sweet.
split a family.
By the way, one quick thing for you. The first cat that we brought, Moo, he got adopted last week too.
Really? Oh, that's
Absolutely.
great.
You guys are great luck.
Wow.
And it's to an older gentleman who, and Moo's an environment, he gets along with other cats, but he likes to be the center of attention.
Wow.
So now he has a polydactyl Hemingway cat, and they're famous because they're considered lucky.
Oh, great.
Really?
So, yeah. So we have a happy ending for Moo also.
Oh, definitely. Do you think we can get a happy ending for this guy?
Absolutely.
Do we have any people lined up for him?
I'm not sure. I have a real job. I'm a volunteer, so they send me out when they need a big mouth to talk and be on TV and not free. So yeah.
Perfect.
But yeah, I'm sure we have some people in line, and he's just such a sweet cat. Maybe we'll see somebody will see him and come in and adopt. And we're also looking for people to volunteer. We have a lot of stuff that we do, and just go to catnapfromtheheart.org. We have a Facebook site, and we'll use you guys to recruit for us. How's that?
Perfect.
Definitely.
All right.
And who wouldn't love this guy?
All right.
He's
So
a sweet.
Thank you very much, Don Hill. We'll be right
welcome.
back after these messages. Hello and welcome back to TalkNado. Now, before we go, we have Anisa Selenica, who has something very important to say to you.
Okay, I want to say thank you guys so much. You guys have been a great class. It was really fun working with you two and everyone. And honestly, thanks Mr. Prokes for everything. It was really fun.
I'd also like to wish everybody watching and everybody in the studio today a very happy non-specific holidays. I'm Julian VanDrunen.
And I'm Casey Whisler. Thank you so much for sticking with us for TalkNado.
We'll see you around.